On this week's episode, still no sign of therapists. So the sports car therapy session is still out of session for another week, but we'll talk about a Boston Bruins box set, which includes SB signature legend Hal Gill. That brief discussion. And we'll talk about wonderful tactics and attempts at negotiation. Attempts at negotiation. That and more on this episode of the BIC podcast. Yes, another episode under the auspices of the watchful eye of Favre. Now, quick thing that I wanted to talk about. We discussed this briefly before we got started. Is we want to thank everybody for checking out the last episode and the last live stream that they both did very well. Well, actually, the last live stream did well, and the one before that did very well. Both pertaining to discussing the sports car therapist thing, giving our thoughts and all that. Very thoughtful comments. I want to thank the commenters for giving very thoughtful comments. Appreciate the feedback and commentary on it, and also chatting back and forth amongst yourselves. We had a lot of fun with that. I know Eric went in there and was kind of scrolling through and seeing the sheer volume. And there was a lot. There was a lot of comments going on both, and it was really good. So glad you folks were able to enjoy that. Also on the side of it, no updates. We got no updates on the therapist thing. Things sit kind of where they were before. I did my little moment of Zen thing with a little milk carton joke because, yeah, he's gone completely quiet. He's kind of vanished. And I know that some of his associations and everything have kind of said their piece. At least a couple of them have. And they're basically kind of in the same state where, yep, he's right now, as far as we know, he's kind of out of the business, so to speak. He may still come back at some point. If that happens and something gets updated, we can talk about it. But for now, we'll move on, So hopefully everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving, U.S. Stateside. But yeah, we'll move on from there and talk about some other things. Before we do, though, one of the things that I do want to touch on right after that as well. First of all, I'll ask you guys really quickly. Thanksgiving went well, Eric?
Yeah, it went well. I mentioned on Friday's live show that my family, really enjoys Thanksgiving, and one of the things we try to do every year is have an unfamiliar face to sit at our table, somebody that didn't have someplace else to go, or families far away, or so we always hope to have a fresh face on Thanksgiving. And this year, my daughter brought someone home from college, who, his family's in California. They go into school in Rhode Island, and he was going to just sit around the campus for 4 or 5 days by himself. So she invited him, to our house. He stayed here. Great kid, and it was nice to have one of those unfamiliar faces at Thanksgiving dinner. I think that's what the holidays should be about, and that's what we try to do.
Do you share your chocolate sticks with the unknown guests?
God, no.
Okay. No. I didn't think so, but I wanted to confirm. We have confirmation.
We have to have boundaries. We appreciate those new faces. We welcome those new faces, but we must maintain boundaries.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
Yeah, fair. And Brandon, I know we talked about it a little bit, but if you want to say anything about the Thanksgiving holiday, feel free. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next bit.
Dinner was good. It was a little different. We normally have it here at the house, but my wife's sister had to work, so we got up Thanksgiving morning. I helped her pack my daughter's little Mario Kart of a vehicle because it's very tiny, with a few kitchen appliances to take over to her sister's house. And she helped her cook over there. And then we had dinner over there. Her sister works from home, but she had to work. She does like dispatch for like a medical rescue unit thing.
Okay.
So she had to work, and that, so we could all still enjoy it. She just went over there, helped cook over there, and we had it over there instead of here. So otherwise, all families have crazy moments, and we made it through. So it was a good day.
Fair. That's fair. So obviously in Canada, we had our Thanksgiving back in October, but I did enjoy the Thanksgiving football, which will kind of lead me into talking a little NFL here. One of the key pieces of it is that they did have the Packers game on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions, which kind of set us up in, I've been talking about it going back weeks, My original prediction was 5 wins. The Packers are currently at 5 wins, which in and of itself isn't an issue. It's fine, you know. But I think what created a bit of a fun situation, and I chatted about it on the Discord a little bit, is now we're kind of stuck in no man's land because now the peasants have hope. Now the people have talked themselves into it, and taking a look at the schedule, I can kind of see why they talked themselves into it. And unfortunately, we are in no man's land now because there's really no reason then. Whereas a couple weeks ago, before the Chargers game, there would have been good if they had lost the Chargers game and then potentially lost the Lions game, they would have been in the running for a really high draft pick. That is no longer really the case. At 5 wins, you know, you could lose out and still not really have a premium draft pick, so you're not gaining anything that way. So you're kind of in a situation. Well, you might as well then try to win as many games as you can now. There's no real reason not to. And the rest of the schedule kind of plays into what is getting the natives very excited. Coming up next here, we're on the Sunday, December the 3rd, they're playing against the Chiefs. So let's assume that's a loss, you know, for the sake of argument. Although the Chiefs had their weakness too, so it's like I can't call that automatic, but in theory, we'll call it a loss. Then right after that, on December 11th, they're playing the Giants. Again, we're not guaranteeing anything, but that is a very winnable game. So we'll call that what it's going to be. Then December 17th, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, not exactly a murderer's row there. And then on December 24th, so Christmas Eve, they're going to play the Panthers, literally the worst team in the league. So you can see as the schedule is going forward here that like people are talking themselves into it because you start adding up, wait a minute, maybe we lose that one, but you know, you could probably win that one and that one. You put a little run together. December 31st, New Year's Eve, they're playing against the Vikings. So you got a division opponent. Who knows what's going on by then? And then January the 7th, they're playing the Bears. So what it really comes down to is basically 4 out of 4 wins, 4-2 there gets you to 9 wins. Is 9 wins enough to get you a playoff spot? I saw one of the podcasts doing a little bit of probability. 9-8 could theoretically get you into the playoffs, and 10 wins certainly could. So basically, if you manage to not lose more than 2 games, you've got at least a mathematical possibility. And if you beat the right teams, the right combination of teams here, you increase your chances. So obviously, I can see why they've talked themselves into it. I don't think that would go anywhere, but I guess now we're rooting for wins where we can get them because losing out isn't going to do you any good now.
Well, here in
Go ahead,
New
Eric.
England, we're all praying that the team gets scurvy and can no longer participate in this football season. It is embarrassing. It is very difficult to watch. This is not what is typical in the last 20 years. Obviously, I grew up in a time when the Patriots were 1-15 on multiple occasions. So I mean, I understand there's peaks and valleys, and we just had a really good run. We're very fortunate. The younger people think that's how it's supposed to be all the time, and listening to the radio shows and the news and everything around here, I mean, the sky is falling. We went 20 years with the motto of "In Bill We Trust," and now everybody wants blood. They want him fired. They want him gone because the product is so bad. I think we could handle the losing if there were close games, if the effort was there, if the bad mistakes weren't there every single weekend. I think people would have a little bit easier time swallowing this nonsense, but it is so bad that people are literally losing their minds. People are screaming on talk radio, on sports radio, that they are going nuts. Again, especially the younger people. They have never experienced this in their lives, whereas older folks are like, "Oh, this is nothing." So I just hope the whole team gets scurvy and has to forfeit the rest of the season.
I'd like to say that I had wishing scurvy upon my own team on the bingo card. Malaria I had. Scurvy, alas, I did not. So there you go. At least he threw me for a loop, Brandon. I wasn't ready.
That was
Any
a
thoughts about your
shocker.
team before we move on?
So my team, I'm not going to play Boston Bruins here. We are leading the conference, the AFC. We're in the one hole, but it's the regular season. It is the regular season. I recognize that. However, I want to toss out, talking about bingo cards. Who had the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and the Indianapolis Colts as playoff teams right now? You have Buffalo, Cincinnati, Denver with Russell Wilson, the Chargers with Justin Herbert. Like, all of these teams are way outside looking in, and I would not have predicted that you would see the Steelers with Kenny Pickett, the Cleveland Browns, the Indianapolis Colts sitting in a playoff hole right now. So the AFC is kind of wild, but we've discussed how it's unpredictable this year. So
Yep.
we're not going to talk regular season. Hopefully, this one spot is helpful in the playoffs, but I'll be honest, it almost feels like a setup because I could see Harbaugh resting. If we hold on to that and clinch early and all of that, I could see Harbaugh resting Lamar and then, potentially having the bye and all of that. And then they just play crap the first playoff game. And yeah, disappointment again. So not getting my hopes up, but they're looking good for the regular season.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, I thought it would be worthwhile. This season has been topsy turvy. That's the reason why I said when I went through the list, like even in going into the Packers scenario, you assume the Chiefs game is a loss, but it could be something weird. Like at this point, I've given up trying to even guess, trying to assume anything. It's like you never know. The only scenarios that would shock me are 0 for 6 or 6-0. Anything else in between is plausible to me. Like you could sell me on any combination they're in. I just assume there's going to be a blemish one way or the other, and then we'll just figure it out from there, and we'll see where we land on the whole thing. Either way, it's played out differently from what I would have expected coming into it. So here we are. Now, touching a little bit also kind of the Thanksgiving theme here. One thing that I'm thankful for is Hal Gill. And you know why I'm thankful for Hal Gill? I am thankful for Hal Gill because the SP signature legend that he is, he's taken his rightful place as part of a set that only one of us really gives a shit about. But I care about it because Hal Gill's in it. I care about the 2023-2024 Upper Deck Boston Bruins Centennial box set. And really, other than Eric, no one else does. But I do, because in that set is SP signature legend himself, Hal Gill. Legend.
I heard rumor that Eric has now changed his whole Christmas wish list, knowing that this set was being released prior to Christmas. And not only is Mrs. Wade, but Mrs. Wade, Eric's wife, is going to have to take out a huge loan to fulfill the requests of Mr. Wade on his Christmas list. Is this true? Is these rumors true?
Speak for yourself, Eric. See, right there, his subheading, Hal F'N Gill. You're damn right. Damn right.
Well, I'm not going to acknowledge Bobbles because I hate him at the moment. But when and because we're 5% more mature, Billy Cilio has been overly generous in giving me any type of credit for this set.
Or blame.
Almost. Yeah, we'll see. But during the two different phone calls I had months and months ago, and the heads up I got that this was coming out, and I had to do like a super pinky promise handshake and not give my word I wouldn't mention it or anything like that. One of the questions they asked me is, who do you think Bruins fans are going to want to see in the set? What type of players are you going to want to see in the set? What are the fans going to respond to? And I kind of told them about the big bad Bruins and the lunch pail gang, and that's no. Kind of talked about what a Bruin is and what it represents and the expectations of the fans, that kind of stuff. And although Hal Gill was a solid defenseman when he was here, uh,
And an SB signature legend. That is a fact.
I wouldn't, and nor would anyone else, put him, say, in the top 100 Centennial team that just came out a month or so ago. He wasn't on that list as far as I know. I don't
What?
recall seeing him on the Bruins top 100 greatest Bruins of all time. Yet he continues to show up in these other sets. But I think Billy's trying to hurt me.
Aren't we all?
I think it's become personal, and he and I are gonna have to have a talk.
Brandon, I'm thinking to myself, frankly, if it turns out that what Eric says is accurate, and SP signature legend Hal Gill is not in the Bruins top 100, then frankly, this list is invalid. It's a lie.
I mean, if I was Hal Gill, I would be questioning the motives behind the team itself for not including him.
Mm-hmm.
The fans, such as super fan Eric here, saying that he shouldn't be inclusive, because the manufacturing and the card companies have now put him in the Legends autograph set and the Bruins Centennial 100 set. Like, Upper Deck sees the significance of Hal Gill, and everybody else just seems to sweep him aside. Such disrespect by these Bruin fans and the team itself. I mean, come on.
It really does. It really does make one wonder the kind of research that's being done, because I, for one, trust the researchers at Upper Deck. But we've got here Eric trying to claim that in the top 100 Bruins, which to the list I'm looking at seems to be accurate. So someone out there, do the Atlanta Braves say, "Oh, Hank Aaron didn't exist"? They don't do that. Do the Seattle Mariners say, "Who's Ken Griffey? Never heard of him. No idea who that is"? Do the New York Yankees say Babe Ruth? Nay. Lou Gehrig? Nay. Mickey Mantle? Who? And yet the Boston Bruins have the audacity, with not one single other good player that I can even think of, other than Joe Thornton, of course, not a single other good player that I can think in their entire history, 100 years, not one player worthy of even being discussed. And yet we show this disrespect to SP signature legend Hal Gill.
Are they just maybe they're sandbagging and they're going to give him his, maybe they're going to do Hal Gill Day, just give him his whole day.
I'm just assuming this is like some weird self-hating thing where the Bostonites rebel against greatness. They're like, we don't even want to be associated with. That's why we like Tom Brady. We don't want greatness. We want Tom Brady.
Wait, maybe Brady will get excluded and only will be included into the card sets.
I just look forward to the Centennial Boston Celtics set where they exclude Larry Bird. Who's he?
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell? Not even there. Who the hell's Bill Russell? Never heard of him. Bob Cousy? Whatever.
Robert
Who was the bench guy in the 2007 Boston Celtics? We put him in for Bob Cousy. Put him in.
The first 3-pointer and 4-pointer.
I know. Few people know that Hal Gill got the first NBA 3-pointer. This man was a multi-sport great, a multi-sport athlete, a true legend of the game, an SP signature legend, some would dare say. And yet here we are.
I'm glad he got his moment to sign those cards and a photograph in this Boston set. At least he's getting some respect, credibility that he deserves. I think people should review the actual Boston Bruins list, but that's not for me to say. That's for the Bruins fans, those regular season compadres that go hard in the regular season. So there you go, Eric.
Now, I want to say at this time, and I want you to think of, as you're listening to us, I want you to think of two things. Number one, that segment was somehow 5% more mature than what the Friday version of that will be, because I've yet to even warm up on this. That was the 5% more mature version. I'm merely warming up. By Friday, I will be in rare form. I'm going to look through the rest of this checklist, and I will see things between now and then. I can promise you this. But if you want to get sets like the Bruins Centennial box set, including SB Signature legend Hal Gill and some other guys that no one cares about, you can get it and other items like that at our friends at AMG Collectibles. Friends of the channel, friends of the podcast and the live stream, amgcollectibles.com and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. We should be back on a regular schedule this week doing another podcast. And hopefully, I might have to ask, I might have to inquire about what the allocation is on the Boston Bruins Centennial, because we got to get ourselves some goddamn Hal Gill. And additional things coming in. We got AW Allure. We got different things. I may have some discussions with them to see what's going on with that product. But whatever else is coming in down the pipeline, amgcollectibles.ca, AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. We thank our friends at AMG for participating in the channel and this podcast.
I just wanted to say, on a serious note, though, all joking aside, is this a set, not just the 100 card base set? Is this a set, like maybe the parallels, the autographs, everything, that you will be attempting to complete? Whether buying singles or boxes, whatever.
I will definitely buy a box. It'll be the first box I buy since 1994. I will investigate what comes out of it, the designs, which I had no say in. I was never asked about that. I will take a look at it, see what it is. As a Reggie Lemlin collector, I will chase whatever Reggie Lemlin cards are in it. And we'll see how the rest goes.
I was curious if you'd do the autograph list and everything, but good answer. Just curious. In all serious.
There's a good chance I have many of the autographs already that are in it. So spending lots of money to chase autographs that I have a plethora of doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But if they're really sharp and nice looking cards, and I get the fever, as Christopher Walken said in Saturday Night Live's most famous cowbell sketch, I got the fever, and the only thing that's going to cure it is more cowbell.
The only prescription is more cowbell. But yes, that is the right one.
So if I get the fever, the only thing that's going to cure it is buying more. So we'll have to see how it goes.
And you'll be all pleased to know that I did double check just now. I hadn't had the chance to fully review the checklist, so I wanted to make sure I at least got a scan on it. You'll be pleased to know that Did Clapper is in it. So there are at least 2 good Boston Bruins. Did Clapper and Hal Gill.
Does it have the price on there?
I can tell you what the price is in Canada, and then you can knock it backwards. Let me go pull it up. While I'm doing that, we'll move on. Is there any Brandon? Is there any other Boston Bruins slander that we got to get before we move on?
No,
I feel like I got a good warm up here. I feel good. I feel properly. The muscles have been stretched out properly, so that by Friday I will be in rare form. So I'm feeling good about this. I'm going to get a chance to review this a lot more carefully and really have it down.
In seriousness, it's kind of cool to be a fan of a team. That's why I was curious. Like you mentioned, you probably already have all the autographs or whatever, which I don't doubt. I mean, you have a great Boston collection, but being a fan of a team and getting their own, legendary 100-year, whatever you want to call it, Centennial set, it's kind of cool because, as the fan of the team, I wasn't sure if that was something, because it's all Boston centric, if you would approach trying to complete that set or whatever. I mean, I think it's pretty cool to get your team's own set kind of thing.
Well, the advantage is that for the set itself, because it is a box set, you do get the base set in every box. So that's already built in. It's parallels, inserts are randomly inserted throughout. And then if you want to build those checklists, then it becomes, hunt. You're going to get some out of the box anyway. And then you got to see, how lucky are you? So I can tell you as an example, And this will actually be a topic. I'll use them as an example, but I actually have a topic related to them that I'll touch on Friday. So take that as literary foreshadowing. I will come back to this because there was something related to this that I thought was interesting. So, on the Canadian side of things, the pre-sale is $59.99 Canadian for this box set, which isn't honestly it's honestly very inexpensive. It's not crazy at all. That's got to be like 35 bucks. Yeah, like 35, 40 bucks US. That's not much.
I am curious if it's going to be more in Boston than in other places. But I wonder if what the markup's going to be, because people are going to want it. So, but I'm definitely going to get some and check it all out. And I think there's definitely there's a few different reasons. Is definitely a portion of it that it's the Bruins, and it's specifically them. It's the anniversary of the team, which is a big deal for us fans. And on a personal note, I was very honored, happy, excited, surprised that I would get a phone call from Upper Deck asking me even a couple of small questions in regards to this, a year ago. And it was, so I think because it's a little, it's a little bit personal that I'm definitely going to want to purchase some. So.
Indeed. Now, moving forward, next little conversation piece that we're going to talk about. So, guys, it's going to be a couple different topics this week, but the main one that I wanted to chat on for a little bit, since it is open-ended and we can have a little fun with it, is that I did get a message. I've talked about in the past how I opened up 9 boxes of the AEW metal and then slowly moved some of the cards. And at this point, I'm pretty much at break even. Almost to the penny, honestly. I'm actually at break even, which is really great. So anything else I move from the stuff that I pulled from it will be putting me into the black and then deeper into the black, which is awesome. That's a good outcome. But I did get a message from somebody asking about one of the cards that I put on there. And I'll reveal what it is because I think it's timely, is that one of the PMGs that I pulled out of that was CM Punk, who came back in the Survivor Series, and obviously is now buzzworthy and noteworthy once again. So funny that suddenly I'm getting an uptick in watchers. So the way I structured it is I structured it as an auction, and I kind of looked at it and said, okay, I'm willing to put it. And at this point, anything I get for this card is putting me into the black and beyond, because like I said, I'm almost at dead even right now. Honestly, even a couple of bucks puts me at even, and then anything beyond that is good. So the card is obviously in demand. There's some interest right now because he's buzzworthy. He's going to be on Monday Night Raw, probably as we speak and record this tonight. When he goes out there with a microphone, because he's got a segment dedicated to it, whatever he says is going to generate some headlines in the wrestling world. So he's on the tip of everybody's tongue right now. But what's funny about it is that the message came from somebody who was talking about it, looked at the picture, and I try to take big pictures on it for my eBay auction and everything. And they say, it looks like there's a ding on the corner there, it is, a tactic to try to, talk down the price a little bit. They're like, and then follow it up with, oh, well, what are you looking to get as an offer? And I'm sitting there like, and I'm trying to be, now I try to be polite where I can in this kind of situation, because there's no reason to look, I understand what you're trying to do. It's very lazy. It's a very lazy tactic, because it's like, well, the reason I included the high res images was so that you could see PMGs tend to get damaged very easily. They chip, they get nicked, whatever. That came straight out of a pack, straight into a penny sleeve, straight into a top loader. Whatever issues are a part of it, we're in the manufacturing packing out process. There's nothing I can do about it at this point. It is what it is. And you're buying it as is, and it's been labeled appropriately. Go look at the picture, decide the grade for yourself. And if you're interested, bid accordingly. That kept it really simple. But the bottom line is, what about different kinds of, and Brandon does an eBay store, and this falls on everything. People trying to negotiate on something they presumably want by starting and leading with, well, these are the issues with it, and then try to follow that up with the offer. So any kind of thoughts or discussion on this amongst other really lazy negotiation tactics?
Yeah.
Well,
I've always kind of sarcastically but with some respect asked them, well, if it's so bad, why do you want it? And then they can't answer you, because I know and you know that this is obviously still good. You trying to tell me how bad it is and talk down the price. Why do you want it if it's such bad shape? So I've never been given a good answer to that when I've asked people that question, because you know why they're doing it. Like you said, it's lazy.
Mhm.
Um, but working at the shop for the last few years, and at one point being, in charge of the entire eBay store, I would get emails daily asking for price drops and what's your best offer, and if I give you if you know if I offer you X amount of money, offline, what can I have it then? Can I have free shipping? Can I have this? Can I have that? And I just always type back, no, thank you. Um, it is it is frustrating to be a seller on these selling platforms with people constantly trying to get you to lower your price. Now, there are some people that put stuff on at ridiculous prices and they're never going to sell. And take a shot. Well, whatever. But when the price is already fair, when the seller has done their due diligence in the description, saying that it's chipped in the lower right corner, his, a 4K picture of it up close and personal, you don't need to send me, um, you know, a uh, a pamphlet telling me what's wrong with it. I already told you first.
Mhm. Now, can I ask a question? Kind of playing off of this, and Brandon, I'd like to get your take on this as well. The reason that I led with the story of the example that I gave is even if you think that the condition lowers the price potentially, what I tend to do, everybody does their own thing. Auctions are always a little bit tricky. What I like to do oftentimes, this is my personal thing, I'll often choose a min bid that is higher than normal because honestly, I would take the min bid at that point. To me, that's kind of sets a floor. Now, that's going to turn some people away. That's okay, though. I don't mind. I would rather find the right buyer who understands kind of where we're sitting and then go with it from that. But I did create the option to go a best offer. But my best offer is going to be higher than my min bid because there's no reason for me to go lower than my min bid. And what struck me about the approach of this example that I gave to start off the conversation is I didn't mind that he tried to use the condition as an argument point, but he led with it. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm interested in the card. I feel like the last couple have gone about this. I think this one has damage that the other ones don't have. Would you take this?" Say what your offer is, because in this case, he didn't even say the offer. He said, "What offer would you take?" He's asking me to bid against myself. That's the key. That's the second point. The first point is you're leading with trying to make the claim about the condition, which actually I just gave you an example. There's ways to do that and incorporate it into it. I go, with the condition, I'd be at this price. Does that make sense? Or is that something you'd consider? But at least you've given me a number. You've stated this is what I'd like to pay, or this is what I think it should be based on whatever. Then at least there's a spot to have a discussion. When you say, here's the flaw, what offer would you take? You're asking me to do all the work. Why on earth would I do the work? What's the minimum I would take? The minimum bid. That's what I would take. I answered the question in the listing. Any thoughts on that, Brandon? Obviously, you've probably heard variations of this or different attempts to do a similar kind of thing, but any thoughts on that piece?
Well, to direct answer the question on that part and thoughts on that, asking the question of whether or not the corner is dinged or chipped or whatever, completely fair. All right. No matter how high res the scans or pictures or whatever are, sometimes lighting can make things look different. No harm, no foul there. But it's an auction. Okay. To ask the question of what offer would you take? What is the purpose? You have it up at auction. You have a starting bid there. You don't know what the future is going to hold. It might only go for your starting bid, or it might get into a bidding war and a mega bid might be placed on it. Yes, I used mega bid. Hopefully, that gets paid for, but you don't know. Like you just said, dude is in the spotlight right now. Some people might watch Monday Night Raw. They might be like, I want a PMG of this dude. It goes on there and tosses up some bids. You don't know. That is completely irrelevant. Now, if it was a buy it now, if you had like a buy it now best offer, and he said, just curious. I've used this before because maybe somebody has something that I want and I feel like it's going to turn them off if I threw the offer out that I'm looking to get the card for. And it could have been sitting there for a while and maybe the market changed or whatever. But still, sometimes if I get an offer and it's below 50% what I have the card listed at, that's a turn off. So sometimes I'll message and be like, hey, I don't want to be um I can't remember the way I word it, but it's kind of like I don't want to be, a low. I don't want you to think I'm lowballing you, but I'd be interested in it at around this spot. Again, like you just said, if he would have came and led with a number, that would have been different too. But it's a freaking auction. Like you don't have an offer in mind. Your offer is whatever the hell it ends at bid at.
Well, Brandon,
That was a
I'm
simple
only
answer.
making the point. I'm only making the point that you can do an auction with a best offer feature on there before any bids come
Right.
in. So you do have that option. So I do have it there, but I think in his mind he's thinking, can I offer below the starting bid? I think that's what he's trying to. That's what I think he's shooting for here. And the thing is, I'm sitting there like, no, you cannot.
So you have best offer on it. Okay.
I have a. That's the reason
So
why
I
I
didn't
say
know
like
you had
I
the best
understood that
offer
part.
there.
Yeah.
Lower
Alright.
than the starting bid is utterly ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think that's what he was
I-
shooting for. Like that's the way he was trying to angle it. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, the min bid is there. If you think the min bid is too high, then say so. But don't try to work it around and roundabout. What kind of offer would you take? I go, a kind of offer I would take is the min bid. It's already built in. Like it's right there. You can start with that if you want.
So in comparison to previous solds, what ratio is your minimum bid at? Are you like
So
a cushion under or pretty
literally
close?
two of them sold yesterday for $60 more than my min bid.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you got a lot of play there. Yeah.
That's what I
Screw
mean.
that.
So I'm
Yeah.
sitting there like the auction just basically got underway. It's got a week to run. I've started it under comfortably with some room. And if it gets up to that number, that's fine. If it falls a little shy of that number, that's fine. So, but I'm already under it. I'm already under. So there's no reason for me. And the two of them were buy it nows. So guys, if you want to get a better price, you're already getting a better price just with the min bid. And if you win, hey, great. If anybody else comes in, but I've already offered the opportunity to get it at a better price than the last two that sold immediately recently.
Well, Eric, you dealt with an eBay store and you mentioned that. I blame eBay a lot on some of these new tactics that are becoming more commonplace with buyers on eBay. And it's really annoying, especially in sports cards, because I do have cards listed. I've been putting up a little bit more than I had most of the year. Recently, I've been listing more, but I can list other items and I might get somebody, that if I don't have best offer on it, they might say, if it's $15, they might message and say, hey, any chance you would do 12 or, something like that. But on cards, it's like, and we've had this discussion, why not just put a minimum bid on everything, a minimum offer on everything? But it's like, why is the card community so hell bent on thinking that they're going to get a card for 10% of what you have it listed at? Like, what is the purpose there? It's dumb. Why can't there be reasonable offers thrown out there? And why does it always related on the comps? Like, why does the next buyer always want to be under the previous sold? It's like that's this theory that goes into the hobby now. And I don't know if it's because majority of purchases aren't for collections and it's just for prospecting, speculation, investments, whatever you want to call it. And so they want to feel like they get a W because they got it cheaper than the last person paid, or what this theory is behind it, but it is very freaking annoying. Like you mentioned it.
I think to answer a part of your question of like where does this come from, I think it comes from card shows where you can walk up to a table, look at a sticker price, or ask the person what they want for it, and then you can start negotiating, and you can give them a low ball offer and see if they'll take it. Sometimes they do, and you're shocked. Other times you guys meet in the middle, or other times they say, "No, this is what I'm selling it for." Um, and sometimes that works for and against the seller. But you're not at a card show. You are on the internet. You are on a selling platform that takes fees, that takes taxes, that shipping is involved. I mean, there's, you sell enough of this stuff. It's a record for the IRS to keep an eye on you. There is a lot that goes into it. You're not doing a handshake deal with somebody at a card show and going back and forth and maybe like trading or adding a little of this or bundling or that's where the mindset comes in though for people buying cards is this is what I do on Sundays at the show. The expectation is when I go on eBay or some other type of selling platform, that I have direct contact with the seller. Because if you go through, ComC, you don't obviously, right? So, and I know like Facebook groups and things like that, you can, and through eBay, you can try to negotiate. And that's where the mindset comes from, I think, is that they're used to doing it on Sundays and they think they can do it on Wednesday night through a computer.
I would agree to an extent, but there has to be some logic behind some of these offers. I mean, like it's I guess you're right. There is times when people will throw a number out and maybe the seller's desperate or whatever, but
Mhm.
I don't know about you guys. Like, if I have something listed and the offer comes in that's just laughable, that's just a turnoff to me not to even deal with you. And I would be the same way at a show at a dealer table. If I have a card listed for 100 and you offer me $10, screw you. Go, get the hell away from my table because there's got to be some realistic numbers here. You want to
Mhm.
come in and say, hey, I'm interested at 60 or something like that. Could you do any better? Whatever. And then we, come to an agreeable number. Great. But you come in, $10, $20 on something that's listed for 100. That's a waste of most of our times. And I don't even deal with those people. I just decline them and ignore it.
Yeah.
I,
Now
I'm
let me
not
touch
even
on this. So
okay.
let me touch on this. I want to play off both of what both of you were saying. So the first one is I agree with the premise that there is a carryover from a card show type environment. So that's kind of playing to Eric's point. But I think to answer Brandon's idea here, I think that some of the folks that are trying, the biggest tire kickers are not the collectors. The collectors are usually, I actually really want the card. So yes, I want to negotiate down. Yes, I want to get a deal. Everybody loves a deal. The whole existence of Black Friday and Cyber Monday are under the premise we love at least the idea of a deal. We want to at least feel like we got a deal. So I don't blame anybody for trying to knock prices off because I do the same. We all do the same here. Like we'll always try to get a little bit off if we can. But I think when somebody tries that kind of a tactic, like the example I led off the whole conversation with, it's under the premise that you're trying to get margin built into it. So that comes off to me like someone who's thinking about then flipping. So they're trying to get as much margin built into it as they can. So then they start off by sandbagging and trying to lower the price as much as they can. For most of my best offer stuff, I set a minimum threshold. Now, what's funny in this example that I gave on this thing, the minimum, if you can do an offer, and if I get an offer that I'm happy with, I'll end the auction because I can accept the offer and the auction's done. But my minimum offer, is above the price of the minimum bid. If you want to get the lowest possible price and you want to play your chances and 7 days, best of luck to you, the auction is the way. Because as soon as you place a bid, the best offer goes away. But if somebody came in with the best offer that's a little above, I didn't put it crazy above, I put it a little above. And if they give me an offer I'm satisfied with, I'm gone. From the seller's motivation, though, in the example I gave, I'm not desperate to sell. So they're trying to play a tactic for somebody that's desperate to sell to see like, oh, well, I'll take any offer. I don't. Usually when I do a best offer, I set a floor. I set a threshold where it automatically rejects you. But I didn't use this example because I get these all the time on my best offer stuff. I'll get somebody who messages me with a similar thing, like, what would you take on it? They don't necessarily worry about condition or whatever. They'll just say, what would you take for this? And then I'll go look at the best offer auction, and I'll see that they tried 2 or 3 times, and each time was a low ball, and a low ball. And now they're reaching out to me to be like, whatever. And I go, and I come back to them. I go, I can see what you offered. You're not even close. You're the fact that you're getting auto rejected means you're hitting such a low bar that it's bouncing you back. So reaching out to me, again, why would I bid against myself? Why would I tell you what my minimum is for it to get through? That's the question I would ask. Why would I give you that piece of information? Clearly, if you're nowhere close, it doesn't benefit me to, $100 card Bobbles. And I say, for the sake of argument, let's say I'm willing to at least entertain a $50 or $60 offer. And you're like at $10, $15, $20, and then you message me. Am I going to tell you what the number is? This doesn't benefit me in any way, shape, or form, because clearly you're not even close. You're not $5 off. You're way off on this one.
Yeah, many people, especially if it's a hot item, and you had mentioned you got watchers and stuff on it. Many people, if they message me, "Hey, what's the best you'll take on this?" I'll simply reply back, "I'm comfortable at my price. It's gotten a lot of attention. There's a lot of interest in it. You know, I'm good sitting here waiting my price out." Because what I like to do is, unless it's an item that I don't have a solid, like good history of sales on something, and this is cards or anything, if I don't really have a good sales history, or if it's items that may sit for a little bit and they're not like high value and I'm into them for so little, I can have some wiggle room. Those I'll throw best offer on. Everything else, if there's good price history, price data there, and I list it at an acceptable price of what they sell for regularly, I'm not looking to change, to take an offer on it, and I'll price it at whatever it is, leave it sit, and then, if it hasn't moved in 6 months, I might throw best offer up or throw offers out to buyers. But when I said earlier, I think a lot of this comes down to a little bit of blame on eBay too, is they are putting so much effort into these seller initiated offers that buyers are like throwing stuff on watch and just waiting for the seller to then send this discount out to the buyers. eBay actually has a setup now. I don't know if you guys have gotten it, because I think it was in a beta phase, but where you can do automatic seller initiated offers, where you can just go and like set the percentage or the price or whatever. And then anytime someone views or watches it or the item or whatever, it will automatically initiate the offer. So you don't even have to manually do it anymore. And I think buyers are going to start ignoring the price on a lot of things, waiting for sellers to send them offers. So I don't know what we do as sellers. Do we price our shit higher and then give them the 10% off? I mean, I don't know, but it just got that feeling to it.
That's what retail does. What do you think happened on Friday and today? You don't think those prices are all marked up first, and then they take 50% off, and you're like, oh my god, 50% off. Well, it's really 20% because they marked everything up first. I mean, that's an old trick. So, it's not unheard of that you mark it up, and then someone comes with you with a decent offer, and they think they got a great deal because you took $60 off, but that's the price you wanted anyway. I mean, it's not unheard of that's how you do it, and it's definitely deceptive. But I don't know what's worse. I think they're both bad, to either raise it to try to get the price that you want, or be open and honest and say, this is what I want, and have to deal with people trying to give you $10 for it. When if you charge 100, ask for 100, they'll give you the 60. If you ask for the 60, they'll try to give you 10.
Yep.
It's no, it's ridiculous.
No, I agree. Now, let me ask this question because we could go. That's why I say we could share. We could do a lot of stories of these ones. I've had a lot of fun in the past with ones where I felt like I priced it reasonably, had a lot of tire kickers, had watchers and everything, and it ran its course because you can have it set auto relist. And oftentimes I'll let it do it a couple of cycles because I've had ones that'll auto relist 2 or 3 times, and then the third time it sells. But it sells for, and if something happens, I actually adjust the price. I've had cases where it auto relists. I adjust the price up because things have changed, and then I get a buyer at the new higher price. And I was like, guys, you could have had it cheaper if you just hadn't been tire kicking this entire time and just bought it when the opportunity presented. Because usually I'll start off with my goal is to price it to go most of the time. There are a few that I'll price where it's like, okay, look, I'm kind of feeling offers, and it's priced at a level where that's a situation where reaching out to me might be to your benefit. If it's like a high price, that might be a case where you might want to reach out and gauge where I'm actually at on it. But I might not be in a hurry to sell it. It's like it's each your mileage may vary, and each case is its own independent thing. But if it's something that got listed recently, the price is in line. Well, that's why I gave in this example. I was able to go into Terapeak and see specifically that my min bid was $60 less than the last 2 sales one day before I listed it. So I'm like, all right, the min bid is it's high, it's a high min bid by today's standards. Everybody's like, oh, 99 cents. I'm not starting at 99 cents. No, thank you. I'm going to set it at a number where I would accept the min bid. I would be okay with that. It's still cheaper than the last 2 that sold a day before. So if you guys were comfortable at 150, you're comfortable at 100. It's not, I'm not losing my mind over here. But if somebody wants it, they can go somewhere in between and they probably do okay. But people like to be greedy. They're trying to squeeze every last penny. That's why I don't think it's the collectors. That's why I'm theorizing. The collector would be like, okay, so the last 2 sold for 160. Can I offer 120, 130? I'll try to get a little less, but at least I know the last 2 sold for X amount, and then they try to get a little discount. The tire kickers are like, I want it cheaper than the min bid. And it's like, okay, well then you can wait. Good luck to you.
Even if he had just threw a number out, at least you could see, maybe he wasn't trying to undercut you at the below your minimum bid, and he was just seeing where you were at. But yeah, I hate when people say, what's your best? Because that's just when people ask me that, if I'm out at yard sales or something, somebody will be like, well, what do you give me for it? I'll be honest. I'll tell them I'm cheap. You need to give me a number. It's your item. You tell me what you want, because in those situations, you're dealing with so many different things. I don't want to throw an insulting offer out there. So I'll tell them I'm cheap. Tell me what you want. We can go from there. So
yeah, I think the key here is that in this scenario, by having a min bid or something like that, I've set an anchor. I've given us an anchor to start off with. So the idea that you come to me and be like, well, what would you accept, or what would you want to, what would you want on this? Is like, well, I already set an anchor. It's on you to come up with the second number. If you want to throw me a second number, we can bounce it back and forth a little bit. But to start off with, I've already gave a number. So if you don't like the number, then come up with another number.
Do you think, and just throwing this out there, do you think that having the or best offer on an auction confuses buyers because they're so used to having a buy it now price to where the offer they can get lower than the price listed? And so when they see the auction, and if there's no bid on it or whatever, and they see or best offer, they're in their mind, they think, oh, I can get this cheaper than that number. Do you think that's part of the problem?
I think it can. I've definitely seen that. Now, what's funny is I've been on both sides of it. I've bought sometimes. If I look at something, and that's going to be on the research side of the equation. If I look at something and I know what the last several of them sold for, or again, research, right? Your research will help you. It'll give you a lot of information. If I look at something, and I'll give you a tangible example. I'll give you a good one. Since, like I said, I love my AEW stuff. I talk about all that stuff all the time. Well, one of the cards in it, and I chatted with Billy on it on the channel when that product was initially announced. One of them is a very silly insert. The premise of it is a tour bus, and they put the wrestler on the side of the tour bus. It's a very silly looking card. It's die cut, whatever. But the point is, they're case hits. They're one per case. So 20 people in it. So in order to get a specific person, it's a 1 in 20 case hit to get the specific character that you want. So that's a pretty tough pull, definitely not an easy one. Somebody had one on there for $13 and they actually had an offer on it. I could have put an offer in, but it was $13 for a case hit of a popular character. So do I try to squeeze another dollar out of this, or another couple of dollars on it, or do I hit the buy it now and accept it? Second one went up for sale, and that one went by auction. And the thing is, again, I don't think they realize it's a case hit because there hasn't been another one in the boxes that have been opened so far. Those are the only two that have gone out there. It sold for less than $20. I bought that one too. So the only two copies that have sold since the product has come out, I own both copies. So, and I'm comfortable with that. Like I'll take it. I'll hang on to them for now. But truthfully, I could probably relist the thing when I get it and put it a little bit higher. And if somebody else realized, wait a minute, that is a case hit. I've actually done that before. I've 100% bought something from a new product, bought a second copy, and then listed the other one higher and sold it for the higher price because the consumer that understood what it was able to figure that out, because the first one had a really crummy listing. That's why it sold so cheap. And they put a buy it now. So I looked at it and go like, okay, well, I'm not going to play around with this. And it was a situation where you had the auction and you had the buy it now. It was like, well, it's a case hit. I'm going to hit the buy it now. There's no point in me even playing that game. But other times it makes sense, to your point. Other times, then yeah, take your chances, roll the dice, go for it. But a lot of new products create these weird nuances. People don't understand what the case hits are. They don't realize, which parallels are a little bit tougher than others, which ones are tough. There's a parallel in that set that's 1 in 640 packs. 1 in 640. There's 8 packs per box. 1 in 640 packs is 1 in 80 boxes. That's 1 in 4 cases for a parallel of the base set. That's a very tough pull. And I don't think a lot of people fully grasp that. But that's where I say, if you do those two things, you're right. I think it does confuse some people, but it can be to your advantage too. If you understand what you're looking at and you can quickly evaluate the situation, sometimes hitting the buy it now is the wise move, because then you don't give other people time to realize what's happened here. You don't give other people an opportunity to realize that. Sometimes you don't want to be too greedy. Other times, you know what the hell, put a bid, take your chances, and let what happens. And I've seen both work successfully. It just depends on how, if you like to gamble.
I can't stand it when they ask you to, to play, to make a bid, and you say you take $5 off, and they come back, the counter offer was $1.50. That's like the opposite. It's like, why are you doing this? Yeah, you try to sell the card for $35. You have $5 shipping. I'm offering you $30. So basically the shipping is free, and you take $1.12 off. That's your counter bid. And that drives me absolutely bananas. And I on principle, I usually just walk away.
That's fair. Let me ask you both this, kind of in the same vein of what we've been talking about, because I don't want to make it too much just complaining about it. It's more like opening the question. And I think here's the main takeaway that I would want to drive home. I don't think it ever makes sense as a person making an offer. I never like the idea of playing the game of asking the seller to bid against themselves. And then on the other side of it, I don't like when somebody asks me to bid against myself. I don't think that makes any sense. And as a buyer, I wouldn't ask you to bid against yourself either. It would make, of course I could try, but it doesn't make any sense, right? As a buyer, you'd be like, why is this guy have a price? If I go to a card show, what do we complain about? We complain about people that don't have price tags. Now I got to play this silly game. I'm like, all right, so what is the number? You have to ask, like, okay, what is the number? Now I need you to give me an anchor price. If you gave me one, okay, at least I've got something to start off with. We can begin with like, all right, are you willing to move off this price? At a card show, I think that's a legitimate, if you see a price tag in front of you. Are you stuck on this price, or are you willing to move? That's an open-ended question. I'm not specifically saying anything yes or no. If they say I might have some room on it, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking this. What do you think? And now I've given you a number. You started me off with a price. Now I'm giving you a number. Now you have the chance to tell me you're out to lunch, you're crazy. All right, you're pretty close. Maybe we're a little bit off. I prefer this. You can go back. That's a legitimate negotiation. Not the not the oh, well, what would you accept? As much as you got. My real answer when somebody says, what would you accept? It's like, well, how much you got?
Right.
Whatever it is, probably more than you're looking to do. But if your question is, well, would I accept? Well, there's a little bit of room there. There's actually a lot of room in some cases. Like, what I accept goes between here and here. If you want to know what these numbers are, maybe shoot me a number. And if it falls somewhere in between, we're probably okay. We'll probably get there. Do you guys have a favorite though? Have you ever gotten Brandon? I think you'd be a good one to answer this one. Have you had a favorite one or a weird angle that somebody's taken this tactic to try to get a price from you or offer something in a wonky way?
I see a lot of stuff. I will say sometimes people negotiate a bit too far, and as a seller, it is a beautiful thing, and you almost want to rub it in their face when it happens, but you have to be professional about it. But there is one that sticks out in my mind clearly. I had an item priced at 700 or best offer, and I had someone that used up all 5 of their offers. And each time they would send me an offer, I would counter them back with a reasonable price that I was comfortable accepting. This was an item that I had no price value history of except for something very similar that had sold, and mine was priced somewhere in there, but I had room on it. I was into the item very cheap, so I had a buffer. But I was countering him at $550. And each time he would decline my counter. You're too expensive. You're overpriced. You'll never get this, blah blah blah. Well, he absorbed and used all 5 of his offers, and it wasn't 2 weeks after that I woke up one morning and someone had purchased the item full price. No offer, no nothing, full price. And I so wanted to take the screenshot and send it to this person and be like, I thought I was overpriced. I'm sitting here giving you 150 off, and you're telling me I'm overpriced when I knew in my gut I was pretty competitive. I had a pretty realistic number there. I was throwing him a counter because I was into it cheap. And
Mhm.
that's the kind of people, like, you're going to have that no matter what. You
Mhm.
could have the low ball guy, like you said, you used the analogy of kicking the tires. They're hoping to get that card at 10, $20. That's $100. They're hoping you're going to slip up, have, a day, maybe that $20 helps you out or something. You're going to hit accept. Otherwise, they're not truly interested. They're just throwing stuff out there. They're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I don't really understand those folks. You know, eBay is a marketplace. There's sellers that have stores. Eric basically ran a store for a card shop. There's many big sellers on eBay. People aren't just throwing numbers up there. Most folks are doing like Carlos mentioned and using Terapeak to price their items. Which, by the
Mhm.
way, if you're not familiar with Terapeak, it gives you 3 years now of sales history. Very useful tool. So,
It's a good feature,
but
but
yeah,
also to be clear, the numbers in Terapeak from eBay themselves, so from eBay themselves, also
are
give you stuff
paid.
that was paid for. It was paid
Yep.
for. That is a very important distinction comparative to a lot of other tools that draw from the data.
And in cards, well, actually in anything, but in cards too, like when I'm posting cards, I love Terapeak because you can go through it there and it'll show you like the average sold. It shows you how many of them have sold, the shipping cost, but then you can go through and like see how recent all of the sales are, how close together like all of the recent sales were priced. But then you can flip over to active and see everything that is also actively listed right in one spot, And so you can judge your price like based upon active listings. So you're not throwing some crazy number out there. In your case, you said your $60 starting bid under 2 recent sales.
Yep.
That's, I mean, even with a dinged corner, that's a freaking steal.
One of
You
them
know?
has a very set. One of them that sold for that $60 more has a very similar defect. The PMGs, the quality control on the upper deck PMGs is not the best. The out of the pack, there is damage on a lot of them. Again, scratches and dents and things like that. It's very normal. So if you're hoping for a PSA 10 PMG, best of luck to you, because there's a lot of quality control and quality assurance issues in the product.
I think my best PMG is probably a 9. I may have an SGC 9.5 on 1 or 2, but
Yeah.
it's not easy to get.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's you shouldn't assume it. And that's why I say my assumption is that the person was looking for the flipping opportunity. I think they weren't. A collector would probably be willing to kind of take that into account, because again, it comes down to you had the opportunity. So if this person wasn't involved in the other 2 sales, that means they missed out on 2 opportunities, and they waited for one that was at a lower price, and they're still trying to maybe get a potential discount on that. And I'm like, well, you're already getting it for a much lower price on that. And if you had come with a number, maybe we could have come up to some kind of a deal that would have made sense. But that's again the onus on you to do your research and think about what it is. What is it relative to ones that have sold recently?
You know, the crazy thing to think about too is if there was 2 sales, you said day prior from you listing, and they were
Mhm.
60 higher. This person's you're 100%. They're not looking to buy that card and throw it in a Z folio or anything.
Mhm.
You're already 60 under the 2 recent comps.
Mhm.
If they could then get it even lower than that, they likely, I'm guessing I'm by what I've heard, the 2 recents were 160 and that one you got started at 100. Is that correct?
Yep, 99.99.
Okay, so they're probably thinking, "Oh, would you do 80 because of the ding corner?" And they're getting it for half. They could throw it up for 100, or they could throw it for 160 and be almost double up on their money, because the likelihood is that a buy it now at the 160 is going to fly, since there's 2 solid sold comps right there recent. And it would be interesting to know if the guy messaging you, or the buyer messaging you, was the winner of the 2 that previously sold.
Yep. And that's always a factor you got to play into it. That's why I say, like, there's different angles to the scenario. I gave a specific one because I thought it'd be a good starting point, and we can play off of that. But like I said, it works both ways. Sometimes the buyer is trying to push their luck a little bit. Sometimes the seller is trying to push their luck a little bit, in a situation where there's a falling knife. Because it can work both ways, right? If the seller doesn't need to sell, that's going to make them more stick to their price more. But again, going back to what I said a moment ago, is that there are sellers who are also stubborn too. Kind of what Eric was talking about earlier. Sometimes the seller is stubborn. Example from the same series, because I'm also collecting one of the characters in the series. That's part of what I like to have some fun with. Early days, I'm willing to be a little more aggressive on some of the cards, some of the numbered cards and things like that. So I'm going to use a tangible example. Um, one of the parallels and one of the inserts is numbered to 299, which isn't super rare, but it holds a little bit of value in the early days when the product comes out. I made an offer to them. They started off the card at 19.99 or best offer. All right, I understood where they were coming from. I offered 14. They wanted $18, and I was like, "It's 2.99. It's going to come down if you wait a little bit." So my 14 was actually a very generous, solid offer for early days, because more than likely it's going to come down as the population starts to populate eBay. It generally happens. I won the same card literally yesterday on an auction, and with shipping and taxes and everything, $12. And that's basically how it goes down. Sometimes it's like the other guy could have got, the card is still listed. The other one is still listed there at 19.99 plus best offer. Is like, now you've got a $6 auction comp for the exact same card. And now you're sitting there with a $20 card and no offers. Sometimes you take it when it's there, but people always try to squeeze in as much as they can as quickly as possible. It's like, if you had taken the 14, you actually would have done well. Now it's not going up, it's going down. And as more enter into the marketplace, you're going to have a tougher time. For the example of the card that I have up there, is that those PMGs are out of 100 for the red one. But if any of those ones that sold recently have gone to a collection, there's one less in circulation. It isn't getting easier to get the card, it's getting more difficult. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of play it by ear and figure out. That's why I say, if it's a collector, I don't think they fight me on this as much. I think they kind of just roll with it and figure it out on their own, decide if the price makes sense for them, and take a different approach. But I think if it's a tire kicker or someone who's potentially looking to flip, then I understand the angle. But I still think it's one that is going to fail more than it's going to succeed. That's why I say the approach they took to trying to do it, I've seen it done better. And I think there's other ways to do it that you can still have that dialogue and maybe find that price, engage where the seller is at, and then maybe you find out where you sit and where you can actually, what kind of offer actually would be more receptive. So any other thoughts kind of on this piece?
Eric?
What was that, Bobbles?
I said, how do you go about your offers?
Reggie Lemon, no cost is too great.
I have, since I was working at the shop and when I was running the eBay store, a couple of years ago, I do not message anybody anymore and ask for, a deal or a lower price. They ought, that whatever they have up there is what they want. So it's buy it now with no offers, or if it's best offer, usually I, type it in and wait for a response. And usually I think my offers are pretty fair and respectful and not, unhinged. And I would say 90 something percent of the time, I get it. Then you have that small percent where, I ask for the $5 off. So basically I can get shipping for free, and they want to take, $1.12 off only. And then I just ignore them and I go somewhere else. But I will not send an email to them saying, dear sir, I don't have any money and I really want this. I mean, the stuff that I used to get was just dumbfounding. The sob stories, hey, I want this. Can I do a payment plan? But my all-time favorite was, I've been kicked off eBay. I'm not allowed to make bids anymore. So can we make this offline? Can I call you? And it's just the people that would reach out and try to make these insane offers, either offline or they wanted somehow some type of payment program, or a free. I noticed that this has been on there for 3 weeks. Would you want to give it to me? I mean, the lunatics.
That's kind of what I was wondering, if with the resale side of things. I was wondering if Brandon had. That's why I was wondering. It's like, that sounds to me like what would be the ideal. I don't sell enough stuff, but I've definitely gotten, not the sob stories, but I've definitely gotten weird and twisted angles on it, trying to find ways of finagling, like, oh, well, it's kind of expensive. And I'm like, compared to what? Usually I kind of like, okay, compared to?
If you don't have the money, or you can't afford this hobby, either lower your expectations of your collection, or put your collection on pause, or don't collect at all, because you need to prioritize your finances differently. I don't buy $5,000 cards. I cannot afford $5,000 cards. I don't go on to auction sites where they have a $5,000 card and give them a sob story and say, the most I could ever pay for a card is $200. Can I have your $5,000 card for $200, please?
Well,
I mean,
I have a fun one here.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to put out any names, and it just was, the situation's funny. So it says, hello, I hope this message finds you well. My name is blank, and I am in the ninth grade. My mom has given me a budget of $30 for a camera for photography class, and as seeing how shipping and taxes makes the camera almost $40, I was wondering if you would be able to lower the price any bit at all. I completely understand. If not, thanks and have a great day. Now, I appreciate the kind message, and it could
Mm.
be potentially a gentleman looking for a camera in the ninth grade, but my question is, why in the hell is the eBay account for a ninth grader created in 2019? Like, and it has 0% positive feedback, like zero feedback at all. The account shows 29. So this kid made his account in fifth grade. Like, I seen that and I was like, no, like, no.
But I will say this: my point here, I do appreciate the effort in the attempted hustle. All I want, like for me, all I ask. This is the reason why I led off with the story that I did is because it was recent. That was the first reason. But the second reason is, and this is the whole thing, the whole discussion about the negotiation. I just don't, I just don't like the lazy tactic. I don't like when you seem to put like no effort. Like, you know what? If you disagree with the price that I have, I'm actually willing to entertain that conversation. But present it to me, like, talk it up a little bit. Give me a reason, give me a rationale, give me an explanation. If you think that there's maybe a better example or something, Eric, I'll hear you out. I have no problem hearing you out if you have some. You know what? I looked up some comps, some similar stuff, and it came out to like this. And there's a look. I think yours is a little bit high based on that. This is kind of where. But again, also tell me what you're thinking. If you give me this whole, I don't want a wall of text, and then in the end you end up with the exact same. It's like, what kind of offer you would say? Again, if you're asking me to do the work and bid against myself, that's a non-starter. That's not going to win. But if you've got an idea in your head and you want to explain, make your case, and then give a number based on that, this is kind of where I'm at. This is where I'm at. All right, you gave me a number. Maybe your number's crazy. Maybe your number's reasonable. But at least if you gave me something to work with and gave me some kind of an explanation for it, I'll at least entertain it. I'll hear you out. I might not agree with you, but at least I'll hear you out and hear your case.
Yeah, and that's where I think the eBay side of it all comes in with these seller initiated offers now. Because it's like you almost want to reply with when they say, "What's your best?" You almost want to just be a smartass and say, "Well, I typed this number in when I made the listing, so that is my best." you know, but I know that again, you see all these watches. I have an item right now. I think it's my top item. I'd have to look, but I have an item with 50 watchers on it. Like, how in the hell can that many people be watching the item without purchasing it? And it's because they're all waiting for me to send an offer out for them to get a discount on it.
Well, have
So
you considered, Brandon, making an
it's just
offer for
one
a
of the fun
whopping
things.
1% off? Make an offer for 1% off and go, here you go, guys. This is your ship has come in. This is it.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm pretty sure that's the highest number.
I think Eric, like if I saw a disproportionately high amount of watchers, that is basically the kind of shit that I would do. I'd be like, all right, guys, 1%. It's like, well, why does like because you guys have had the opportunity, why don't you make me an offer? Like if you want more off, why don't you tell me what you're thinking? And maybe I
Oh,
built in enough buffer that I might hear you out. Like it'd be crazy, but maybe I did build enough buffer into the price that maybe if you give me a number that's reasonable, maybe I'll even accept it. Who
here's the
knows?
funniest part. I have best offer enabled on the item.
I assume, but here's the thing:
It's
I assumed that
50
was going to be the
watts.
case. Look, when you told me that, I go, I bet. That's the reason why I said it that way. I bet you that best offer is there, and everybody's just sitting there waiting. It's like, guys, you can initiate the action too. If you have a
Yep.
number in mind, at least give it a shot. Worst case, like I said, I set a minimum threshold. So worst case scenario, it gets bounced back to you. You'll know right away. You won't even have to wait. You'll get an immediate reaction response. If you get over the number, then it'll come to me and I'll look at it.
Well, since I blew Eric's mind last week with the little Enna Man,
Oh, good Lord.
I'm going to blow your mind again this week, Eric.
Enna Man Deluxe?
No. The item with 50 watchers on it, okay, is none other than a 7-Eleven straw.
It's no Hal Gill, my friend. It's no Hal Gill, but that's pretty good. No Hal Gill, but that's pretty good. So I have to ask, is there something special about the straw? Is it limited edition straw? Was it like related to something?
I don't know exactly what the character is, but I know his stuff sells expensive and it has a high following. I think it's some anime or something, but it's Domo-Kun or Domo-Kun or something like that. It's some little brown dude.
Is it that little brown square thing?
Yes.
Is it Domo?
Yes.
Something like Domo?
Domo, yes. It's a Domo 7-Eleven like swirly Slurpee straw, and I have it priced at $50 or best offer, and it has 50 watchers.
Eric is like 51. Someday, Domo. Someday.
Well, I sold, no joke, I sold a little beanie.
Yeah.
I sold a beanie of him that had a tear on the inside, the seam that came loose, and I got $120 for it.
Brandon, I believe you, but don't interrupt Eric's horror. Like I mean, the look on his face. Don't interrupt. Eric, please.
This is a fun segment each week, blowing
Domo.
Eric's mind with my eBay store.
Domo. Eric, have you already hit the buy it now on Domo? Have you sent out an offer?
I have not. I'm just trying
Is
to
it because
be
you need us to spell Domo?
I am trying to be 5% more mature.
How's that coming along?
But it is mature. Like, I'm not making it up. It's right there. It's factual.
Oh, hold on. I found it. All right, hold on. We got to enjoy this.
It's probably the only one on there.
Well, actually, I think there's some similar stuff to it. But anyway, so here. Come on, Eric. Come on. He's got a chain with a $sign on it. Bro.
Oh,
and
that's
look right there. People want this. 50 people are watching.
Oh. Yeah, that's not racist. That's fine.
Hold on, Brandon. Look. Boom. 51. I'm there. Let's go, buddy. Let's go.
Oh my God. I'll make an offer. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love every aspect of it.
That's just nuts.
So you really haven't gotten a offer in the entire time with all the washers?
I had someone that messaged and inquired on it, and I sent them an offer out at what they had. It was one of those, another situation where they'll message you, negotiate a number, and then when you send them the number, they don't respond to it. So
gotcha.
I've had that.
That's annoying. Yeah, that's annoying. That's silly. You got an offer on it now?
The missus will probably. So that's an item that she found actually. So if you sent an offer, she'll probably decline it and say go to hell.
No, I think she'd enjoy my offer.
$1.50.
$1.50. Eric, $1.50. Come on, let's go. Yes.
That's too much. It's too much.
Hey, listen, you didn't have a minimum threshold set. All right. $1.50 is legit.
Well, to be honest, $1.50 would be all profit because she bought a bag of those 7-Eleven straws for $10, and we're well ahead on them. So,
see, I got a counter offer from the seller for $49.99. Cheap bastard. After
did she counter you?
Yeah, counter to full price.
And see, it wasn't me. She did it.
I love it.
A penny.
I love it.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. No, it wasn't even a penny off. It started off at $49.99. The counter was exactly the full price.
She'll
this,
do
this
that.
type of
She'll
negotiating,
do
this
that.
type of negotiating. Look, this type of negotiating is what's wrong with eBay, Eric. This kind of, I made a good faith offer. And by the way, this wasn't a mega bid. I would have honored the $150. I would have
Oh,
honored it
I'm sure. I
without even a
will
doubt.
raise you $2. I will raise you $2. And if I win,
Was that
we
Carlos and his nonsense that lowballed? She texted me.
Yep, it was. It was indeed.
if I win it at $2, I want it burned on air Friday night.
There you go.
No,
I
I
like
can't
it.
burn
That's fine.
plastic.
I was gonna say
That's
it might be
fine.
toxic. There might be fumes.
I didn't say I was going to burn it. I don't care.
I think at
I
least you
want
should
it
burn
in
it
my
yourself.
house.
All right, on that bombshell. So, real quick, is there any? We kind of had a little bit of fun with this segment once we got into it for a little bit. And if you check out the YouTube version, you can actually see that in fact I did show what it was. I also did in fact put a ridiculous bid on it. Again, set a minimum bar. Look, Brandon can do whatever he wants with his store, but I would recommend to the rest of you, if you have an eBay store, set a minimum offer threshold. If you list something, just set a minimum offer because that way anything below that gets auto rejected. They'll just get bounced back to the bidder, and then you won't have to worry about it.
In fairness, some of my items I do have a minimum on. It's things that I have a price that I definitely am not taking any less than. Something like that straw, though, I don't want to put like $25 because if a wild hair got up my ass one day, I might take 20. I'm into it so little that, if there's somebody serious out there, who knows? So it's kind of why I leave it open.
There you go. But anyway, so any other quick stories or anything related to that you guys want to share, or we'll start wrapping her up here and we'll call her an episode.
It's like the dumbest shit on eBay, and other people buy this dumb shit, and it is remarkable to me.
I have done very well on that.
Just saying. Think about it.
It is.
Eric sounds to me like a man whose life would be improved with a Domo Slurpee straw.
Nope.
With your chocolate donuts, your chocolate sticks.
Eric, honestly, I see this for you. I can see this being a great thing that would go really well for you.
Pull up a picture of Domo though, because he kind of looks like a chocolate stick.
Oh, he does.
He looks like a bag of turd.
So what are you saying about the chocolate stick?
Chocolate sticks are delicious.
We're not talking about what Domo tastes like. You're the one who's bringing that up.
And they make me happy.
All I'm gonna say is set a minimum bar, folks. If you want to set a minimum bar. And also don't ask a seller to negotiate against themselves. Even if you're going to throw a number at them, then at least throw a number at them. We've had our fun with it more than anything else. We were just having a little fun with it. So anyway, I want to thank again. Go ahead.
And to kind of twist that a little bit though, to make it fair, it's okay to ask if you are firm or if you have any room on your price.
Yes, sure.
But don't just say, what is your best? What's your bottom?
Yeah.
Whatever, because most sellers are not going to give you their bottom. So that's what Carlos was saying. But if you want to ask if there's any wiggle room, that's perfectly fair game.
Yeah. That's why I gave the example of the card show. I think asking if there's room on the price tag is a legitimate question to ask because I haven't committed to anything. I haven't forced them to commit to anything. If they say yes, then I can throw out a number and be like, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And then you guys can you folks can have a conversation. Have a conversation, figure it out. But again, if you're saying, what's your best without having thrown anything out there, you're literally asking the person to bid against themselves, which makes no sense whatsoever. And on the other end of it, I'm not going to respond positively to that because it's like you're asking me to do the work. I already set a price. If you don't agree with the price, throw me another number, and then we can figure it out from there and calibrate where we're going to end up falling on it. But a lot of stuff like that. So again, I want to thank everybody. Fun episode. Had a lot of fun with this topic. It was a little bit of a lighter topic, obviously, comparatively to last week. More structured in our normal format. So hopefully everybody enjoyed. Again, folks stateside, hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving this past week. So hopefully that went well for you. And now we're on the path, getting close to the beginning of December. So now everybody's going to start running. Now that the Black Friday, Cyber Mondays, and all that's coming to an end here, now we're starting to move into the holiday season. They're going to start throwing all that stuff at us. So that's coming next going forward. Check out the YouTube channel where you can see our live shenanigans. You can see the Domo 7-Eleven straw, as exciting as it is. You can see Eric's joy and unrestrained rapture at the knowledge that Hal Gill is nearly at hand. An SB signature legend, a Bruins Centennial member,
Mm-hmm.
Glorious. There'll be more upcoming. More videos coming up on the channel. Live streams on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the podcast is now available on Spotify and I believe also Apple Podcasts. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's also available on that. So you can check out if you just want to hear the audio version and our dulcet tones. So for Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards, where you can find him on that YouTube channel and also 540 Flips on the YouTube. And for Eric Sanderson to Or on Instagram, where you can curse him and he will denounce card peasants who are too poor to be able to afford sports cards. And also speak the good word of Hal Gill.
Never said that.
You should speak the good word of Hal Gill. Someone needs to. Show some respect on Hal Gill's name.
You should become a super fan, a super supporter.
He was here. I just don't understand the hobby, the upper deck people forcing him into the hobby. I don't understand.
I think they, like myself, appreciate the contributions to the game of hockey that Hal Gill has provided. Numerous that they are. So numerous, I cannot even name them all within the context of a single episode.
You can't name one.
I can name more accomplishments from Hal Gill than I can for Reggie Lemon.
All right.
He is an SP signature legend. SP signature legend.
All right. This has gone off the rails.
5% more mature than Fridays. 5%. And think that's 5% more mature. Anyway, so for the three of us, thank you for checking this one out. Hopefully we're able to have a little fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If we got any more sports card therapist updates, we'll provide them for you down the road if anything comes to pass. But as it is right now, he is off. We'll get some words of wisdom probably next week and or on Friday. We'll see what happens. There are some words of wisdom out in this world. But with that said, that'll be it for us this time around. We'll catch you in the next one.